Have you imagined yourself being the hero of your world, but ended up in this situation like our protagonist? Watch Klein on how he seek revenge from these fools who betrayed him after sacrificing his life for the sake of the promised love. It all began when Natsu, the goddess of beauty of this country, called Klein, instructing him to kill the Black Dragon Queen. Natsu whispered to his ears and promised they will get married once he did this. Klein was surprised after hearing it, because who would refuse this offer from this beautiful woman, right? So the day arrived and Klein and the Black Queen were fighting. He managed to strike his sword through her chest, tore her in two, and defeated her. His comrades cheers for him and screaming for their victory. Klein raised his sword, declaring their victory against the Black Dragon Queen. The palace held a grand party, and everyone was talking about Klein's ability, while Klein was enjoying himself listening to those compliments. Natsu walked closer and handed him a drink, requesting a toast for his victory. He took the drink, reminded her of what they'd dealt with, and since he worked hard aiming for it. Natsu assured him that she remembered it all and ordered him to drink it, as all of his dreams would come true. Klein immediately drank the cup without any hesitation. As he finished, he suddenly felt something was wrong. He fell on the floor and his body began to tremble while Natsu just staring at him. The captain declared that Klein tried to incite the knights and start a rebellion. Klein's friend tried to help him by telling Klein would never do such thing, but he was stopped by the guards. Natsu raises her sword and announced that his crimes had been judged and anyone who protects him will be considered a traitor. Klein and his friend couldn't do anything but accept to his faith, while the captain smirked as he knew that their plan was working. From that moment, Klein knew that he had been set up. Going back to present, as a punishment they burned Klein alive, but Klein laughed wickedly, asking them if he was a traitor. The people from this town forgot everything he did and started to throw vegetables while call him a traitor. He knew that his time is about to come, so he just cursed them and swore he would destroy the world. Not long enough, he died. Later on, the place was left with burnt woods and Klein's ashes. A woman that seems a mage walks closer to the pole as she pities Klein's life being deceived by dreams. While she was summoning a magic circle, she knew the age of magic devices would come soon. She gave Klein to choose his fate once again. Her magic device binded to Klein's fallen body and slowly regaining his form. As he brought back to life, we can see the burn marks from his body, but the first thing he remembered was the words he swore, "I will destroy this world." She was delighted to see Klein choose this path to get his revenge from those people who betrayed him. 3 years had passed on the busy streets of the town. Klein was on the roof and yawning as he felt bored on this day. His attention shifted as the people from the town were yelling. He smirked as something exciting would happen. He quickly jumped off the rooftop, telling them not to run away. The people in town had gathered their weapons to hand it over them. While some people begging to spare their lives, a little girl in an alley had curled up as she was trying to hide something precious for her. One of the guards walked closer to the little girl and saw the sword she's holding. The little girl begged to be forgiven, explaining it was her mother's keepsake and it worth even a single penny. James got annoyed and demanded her to hand it over, but the little girl chose not to give it to him, so James raised his sword to unalive her. She closed her eyes and wondered if it was the end of her life. But as he swung his sword, someone threw a rock at James's hand and caused him to drop his sword. James got annoyed and looked for the culprit. Klein spoke up while mocking him by saying he's his master. The people in this town known him as Shiro, and they knew he's here to punish the filthy knights, so they are so happy to think we're saved. James got mad and stated that they will show no mercy for him, while Klein mocking him and sarcastically said he's scared. James ordered his companion to get him, and they immediately agreed. The soldiers quickly jumped where Klein was and tried to catch him. At once, he managed to counter their attacks and defeated them right away. James quickly rushed at him, aiming his sword, saying he would never forgive him. Klein immediately repositioned himself and blocked his arm to prevent him from swinging his sword, and he asked James if they were stealing everyone's weapons for fragments of magic devices. James can't afford this fight, so he tried to swindle from their fight. Klein told him to be grateful as he kicked his nuts, and this put James into silence. Due to the extreme pain, he knelt on the ground. With cold tone, he ordered James to leave everything behind, including his armor, and warned him that he would cut his cucumber. Later on, the soldiers ran with no armor on their bodies and told Klein that he was a demon. The little girl thanked Klein for helping her from these bad guys. He explained that she didn't have to thank him because he was not a good guy since he was a chivalrous thief as well. Klein declared to everyone on the town that they could take everything that soldiers left behind, and they can take whatever they want. The people yelled and praised Klein's nickname for his kindness. James gritted his teeth, assuring that he would take his revenge on Klein. When the night came and the moon shone so bright, He sat down again on the roof and felt extremely bored while looking at the dagger. A voice spoke up and said that he became a chivalrous thief and earned the respect of many people. It turns out the mage woman asked him if he was still bored. He explained that he doesn't care about people's reputation as long as he is having fun, it is enough for him. She teased him and asked why the strongest knight who once galloped across the battlefield had become so considerate of commoners. He asked her if she was mocking his situation right now. She disagreed and explained there was no way she would mock the former king of knights. He felt sad and started to question his existence right now. Klein admitted that he was a night king before and cursed everyone who'd betrayed him. She comforted him, saying that he was alive and there was still a chance for it. The mage woman's name was Mesius, and he asked why she saved her and what her goal was. Mesius explained she doesn't need a goal, as she was happy seeing people struggling against their fate. Klein stated that it might be his fate too, and Mesius hugs him, assuring him not to worry as she will be by his side. At Lind Castle, Count Eisen estate, James bowed to his lord, begging for mercy because Klein was strong. Eisen got mad and threw the glass and called them useless, as they couldn't deal with him. James got scared and begged for forgiveness. One of his girlfriends laughed about it. Eisen explained that he had given him many chances, but he always failed, and asked how he could dispose of him. He kept begging for one more chance, and assuring that he would capture Klein this time. Eisen decided not to give him a chance since he was completely disappointed. He called the two soldiers on the corner, ordering them to come closer. Eisen ordered them to set a trap and capture Klein, and the two men agreed about it. He announced that James is no longer fit to be the captain of the knights and instructed him to act alongside them as a mere foot soldier. On the next day, the busy street of the town, and Mesius loves seeing people below, which Klein was surprised that she loves high places. She stated that according to the prophecy of the Ring of Fate, when the fragments of the magical tool, the violet flame blade, are gathered once again, a great disaster will strike Lind Castle. He told her it doesn't concern him, and asked if she thinks he became a chivalrous thief for justice. But she just chuckled and was glad that she did know. As time goes by, he notices that they're up to something again, which she also notices it as well. He immediately jumped off the roof and decided to smash them and be done with it. One of Eisen's soldiers started to attack the town using his Knight Power Overlord strike. The people in town were surprised and confused about what he was doing. James announces Eisen's orders to hand over everything valuable and warns them that they will show no mercy. He kicked the old man and demanded that he give his money while the old man was calling for Klein's help. He started to step on his face, putting more pressure on the old man. The old man didn't know what to do and begged to be forgiven. While looking at the old man, he realized why he was doing such filthy things again. Suddenly, someone punched him in the face, and he couldn't believe that he was already there. He was pushed away due to the strong impact of the attack. The old man was glad that Klein had already arrived and stated he'd been waiting for him. Eisen's soldier noticed him and asked if he was Klein, to which he agreed. He quickly rushed towards him, telling him to die as he swung his fist and called his overlord's strike. Klein easily countered it using his one finger and laughed at his face. Eisen's soldier was surprised that his full power strike was easily dodged. But then, his backup raised his hands to hold Klein's feet, and he mocked them. The man thought they had successfully caught him, and quickly ordered his comrades to attack. So, he raised his hands, and a purple circle light was emerging on his finger. The light was getting bigger and bigger, and the soldier was confused what was going on. Klein cast the same skill and aimed at the ground, which pushed them away. The wall hit Eisen's soldier as he wondered why Klein was using their power. He quickly moved closer and held his hair, informing that he could not only use it, but also handle it better than he could. Eisen's soldier asked who he was, but Klein smacked his face and asked why they were looting the town again. He would like the truth since he had promised Eisen not to betray him, while Klein was slowly revealing his face. As his mask had been removed, he introduced himself that he was man far more demonic than Eisen. Eisen's soldier couldn't believe that it was Klein. He moved closer and demanded an answer as he warned to kill his beloved once. He had no choice and decided to tell him everything, saying his leader was Eisen, and he was looking for fragments of a magical tool. He pulled out the dagger and asked if it was the one he was looking for, which he agreed. He decided to let him go and ordered him to take his men out of here and warned him not to do it again. He looked at the Lind Castle and knew that the peace in this town wouldn't last long. At the Lind Castle, a man informed them about Klein and was trying to drag Eisen down from his position. The commoner stated that someone saw him pee on Eisen's head while a girl was listening to them. The girl was glad and excited to meet Klein again. Meanwhile, Klein was walking on the busy streets and wandering every corner. He looked at the fragment and guessed it was Eisen's today's prey. Someone called him from a distance, telling him to wait, and he was confused. The girl had earlier, surprisingly jumped over him, saying she had finally found him. It caused a loud noise on the street, and the people around them were surprised. She successfully hugged him and was delighted about it, while Klein felt the pain on his head. He asked who she was and scolded her not to provoke him in broad daylight. The girl introduced herself as Carol and heard that he needed help and flew over there. He got disappointed and expressed that he didn't need support as he demanded she go home. Carol insisted that he needed her, and she came all this way from far away to help him. He pushed her away and told her to get lost. As he brushed his armor, he thought that Carol was a weirdo. She held his feet again and expressed that she wanted to become like him, which made Klein even annoyed. While Carol was explaining her motives, some people recognized Klein already and wondered what they were doing, leaving without any choice and told to follow him, which she understood. They hid at the corner as he pushed Carol down and asked what she wanted. Then she pulled something out of her pocket. She showed a potion and explained it was a stinky thing she developed, and once he smelled it, he wouldn't be able to eat for 3 whole days. Klein couldn't believe that Carol was worse off than him. She expressed that he has to be serious when exterminating villains, and he found it interesting. He informed her to be with him and teach her the fun of being a chivalrous thief. Carol yelled in happiness after hearing what he said. Klein revealed that they were going to Eisen's castle and discuss something, which she agreed to. At the Lind Castle, someone ordered to take everything valuable and demanded to hurry. Eisen scratches his head, due to frustration since his comrades failed to catch Klein and lost the violet flame blade fragments too. Eisen blamed them because it was their fault. He called them useless fools and asked why they couldn't catch him. One of his knights walked closer and announced that there was an intruder, which Eisen asked who it was. The knight explained it was a young woman, and her methods are vile as everyone is collapsing. Eisen couldn't believe it and asked who could do such ridiculous things. Suddenly, Klein jumped over the glass window. He landed on the floor, and Eisen was surprised and asked who he was. He glared at Eisen and called him out. Eisen knew it was him and pulled his sword out of its sheath. He immediately rushed forward, and Eisen was surprised that he was too fast. He aimed it at his neck. He managed to push him against the wall and choke him hard. He told Eisen that he wouldn't escape, and Eisen awkwardly laughed and stated that he must wait. Klein asked if he could escape, and Eisen requested that they talk things out. The knight was slowly approaching him behind. He noticed them and asked if he could counter him with that dull blade. He immediately yelled Carol's name, and she surprisingly kicked out the door. She jumped over them and threw her toxic potion towards them. As the toxic potion landed and broke on the floor, a strong smell was released. The smell quickly spreads through the room. Due to the strong odor, some of the knights started to vomit uncontrollably. Klein cast his knight's power, called the Wraith of the Wind, and a wind covered them to protect them from Carol's toxic potion. She kicked one of the knights and stated that they always bully the commoners. He pulled out his dagger aiming at him and demanded to know about the magic weapon. He struck it on his pulse, and Eisen screamed in pain. So he warned her that he could crush both his arms and legs, which Eisen begged him to stop. But then he notices something on the corner. An unknown man had just arrived and thrown a needle-type weapon towards him. He quickly reacted and easily dodged the weapon, but it hits Eisen's chest, which makes him unconscious. Turns out it was a poisonous needle type and quickly spread and turned his body purple. He shifted his attention back to the unknown man as he regretted that he had let his guard down. He quickly chased the unknown man and ordered him to stop. But the man got away, and Klein was disappointed as he looked where he had last seen him. As he got back, Carol was checking him and expressed that Eisen did not have enough time. She sat beside him and told him that he deserves to be punished. He got disgusted with him after all that rampaging and called him pathetic. Eisen was already dead, as the poison had already spread all over his body. Meanwhile, inside a dark cave, a man asked if he had killed Eisen, and the other men agreed. Can, and informed him that let Klein take the fragments as they needed to leave this place as soon as possible. The man with the cloak informed him that there were 2 remaining fragments, and Klein had 1. Can explained that he wanted all the people to obey him. He said that once he killed Klein and gathered all the fragments, and would become the strongest man in the world. He smirked as he knew once he achieved, he would end him all. The people in town were forcefully pushing the door. The people were excited as they rushed inside on the room and knew that Eisen had already died. Turns out they get all the jewelry and other valuable stuff from the palace while Mesias and Klein were looking at them. Mesias asks how he feels after seeing them getting what they deserve. He explained that he didn't feel bad about it and lightened up his mood a bit. Carol yelled and expressed that she feels so much better after all. He tapped her head and assured not to worry, since they would have more fun from there, which she agreed to. Mesias warned him that Ison's people behind him wouldn't stay silent, which Klein assured her not to be afraid. Carol got even more excited and expressed that more enemies, the more fun. Mesias just chuckled and knew that this town would be drenched in blood. A boy handed every person in the streets a newspaper, announcing that Ken had made a declaration that Klein had killed Ison. Carol stated that he was being praised, which surprised Klein. In the news, it said that Ken has invited Klein to a meeting in 2 days. She complimented him that he was so popular, and even being invited to a meal by Ken. He threw the newspaper, saying it's probably a trap, and decided to go. Carol asked if they would be able to have more fun, which he agreed to. In Can's palace, a door could be seen. The door was all the on into the deep tunnel in a tower. Inside the door, a girl named Aisha was on a capsule, and Ken was praising her because she was as kind as ever. The man with the cloak informed him that the declaration had been made, and Ken assured him that Klein would come. Ken pulled out a gold skull and stated that Klein would return dead, or alive. He didn't care about that after all. He crushed the gold skull, and he smirked. But the cloak man reminded that based on the information he heard, Klein is quite difficult to defeat. Ken explained that he didn't underestimate Klein's ability, and it's not just a trap as well. He called the Flame Wrath Lion and ordered him to show his power to the world. A gigantic lion had appeared, with a flame glowing on its body. The cloak man was surprised and couldn't believe what Cans had summoned. He revealed that it was an experimental creation made using the 6th shard and the power born from synchronizing the ordinary flame lion. He was amused by its appearance and couldn't believe that its power came from just 1 shard. Ken agreed and wished that they gather all the pieces with Aisha that could destroy the world. He already knew that she was no longer alive. The people in town started gossiping about whether Klein would really come in their place. The man wondered if he was planning to talk to him, and his friend told him Klein had already arrived. Klein and Carol had arrived safely in town, and Carol told them to move aside. Ken immediately welcomed them and complimented what he brought to the Lind Castle. He coldly responded that he was honored to be remembered by him. He walks closer to him, and Ken expresses that those who worked hard for Lind Castle will be honored. He invited him to come in and build a better future together, which Klein agreed to. He informed him that the food and drinks are already prepared, which made Carol more excited. He introduced the specialty of the Lind Castle, which is roasted pig. As they sat down, he told Klein to eat well and more. But he declined to eat and apologized to him as he explained that he had already had his meal. Carol happily expressed that she would love to take a bite of it, but Klein stopped her. Ken spoke up and observed that he doesn't trust him or the future he speaks of. He explained that he had known his motives since the moment Ison was killed. One of his soldiers reacted, and Ken immediately stopped him. He confronted him and asked why he had come. Klein pulled up the remaining fragment as he showed them and asked how to use it. But then, a sharp object had been flying towards Klein. Carol quickly blocked it using the plate and stated she wouldn't let them hurt him. He asked if the act was already over. One of his knights ordered them to gather, and Ken advised him not to be overconfident. Can's knights rushed towards him, while Klein calmly sat down in the chair, saying he was nothing. He immediately cast his knight power called Emperor's Strikes, and a massive blow occurred at the place. Due to the strong impact, Ken covered his face as the wind and debris had scattered all over the place. Klein removed his mask and smirked as he knew that his plan was going well. He raised his hands and aimed at him as he was summoned another power again. Ken was surprised and knew what would happen next. So, the cloak man immediately cast his skill and ordered to awaken the sleeping beast. The Flame Wrath Lion quickly appeared and growled at him. He was surprised after seeing the Flame Wrath Lion. Ken informed that he had finally made that this far, and asked how he could stumble in a place like this. He ordered the Flame Wrath Lion to attack him, which it obeyed quickly. The Flame Lion was rushing towards him, and Klein already knew how to deal with it. He pulled out the fragment and smirked, and told Ken that he was naive. As the Flame Lion approached him, it swung its claw to attack. The Flame Lion hit it to the ground, which Klein had pushed upwards, catching him off guard. As he was in the air, the Flame Lion blew a powerful flame and hit him. Due to the strong impact, Klein was hit by the wall. Can's knights celebrated and cheered him as they thought Ken had won. He confidently told him that he was foolish and suggested that he must blame himself for overestimating his abilities. As the smoke fades away, Klein stands up and stated that he is more interested in it. Ken was surprised, and his facial expression had quickly changed. Klein's burn mark starts to glow after getting fired up from this fight, and he had never felt like this in a while. His eyes had widened, and he got even more excited as he encountered a high-level beast. Ken called the Flame Lion and ordered him to kill, and turned him into ash. He smirked and stated that he was ridiculous. He dashed out and immediately vanished in thin air. The flame lion was surprised that he was already in front of him, and Klein prepared himself to attack. He immediately punched the flame lion in its chest, saying that he was good at hunting beasts. Due to the strong impact, the flame lion was thrown against the wall. Ken knew that he was in deep trouble and couldn't afford to lose to him. He quickly summoned his skills, and a lot of skulls appeared from the ground. The skulls started to emerge as they approached closer to him. The skulls managed to cling to his body, stopping him from moving. Ken confidently stated that their fight was over as those ghosts wouldn't leave until they drained his life away. But Klein just chuckled as he stared at him. A fire suddenly appeared, and it slowly melted Ken's ghost, and not long after, the ghost had already disappeared. He got infuriated and couldn't believe that Klein could possibly kill his ghost. He quickly dashed onwards as he swung his fist again, stating that he was stronger than him. He managed to catch him off guard and punched him in the face. Ken was thrown on the wall, same like the flame lion. He managed to stand up and asked why he was so strong, to which Klein asked what he meant by it. He confidently explained that he was also one of the ghosts. He ran towards him again and asked if the strongest ghost could only do this much. Klein swung his fist again and called his power, the Emperor's strike, aiming at him. He knew that he was in deep trouble and immediately ordered the flame lion to attack him. The flame lion quickly jumped over him and pulled out its claw, attempting to stop him. But Klein easily struck his punch at the flame lion's face. The flame lion fell on the ground, and Klein was surprised that Ken was already gone. Turns out that Ken had run out of the place, which Klein notices. As he was about to chase him, the flame lion behind him had cast its flame breath again. Klein managed to block it using his fist, and its power was changed direction. It was hit by the wall again, causing massive damage and debris. The flame lion was surprised after seeing it, while Klein decided to deal with it first. Meanwhile, Ken felt terrified as he heard the loud banging on the castle, and pondered what kind of person Klein was. Then a loud explosion occurred in the castle. Klein smirked and told Ken not to rush as the smoke faded away. He managed to defeat the flame lion and left the place as he started chasing Ken. The people in town were surprised as they saw Ken on the streets and wondered why he was in a hurry. He called Klein trash as he knew that he was already in his location, requesting some time. He summoned his ghost chain spell again and quickly threw it to the people near him. The ghost chain started to cling to the people, catching them off guard. The people began asking for help, while others had already lost their lives. Klein helped them by slashing the ghost chain. But Klein was the only one and couldn't help the other people, as they begged him. Ken turned around and observed that Klein could pretend that nothing like happened. So he rushed out of the place again, while Klein told him that he was a ghost who had returned from hell. He jumped from above as he swung his sword and explained that he didn't care about the other lives of common people. Ken quickly turned around and managed to block it using his sword as well. He pushed so hard with his swords, to the point that the Ken's sword was slowly broken. Not long after, his sword had completely shattered and turned into pieces. He was pushed against the wall and received massive damage to it. Klein pointed his sword at his neck, warning him not to move. He smirked and declared that the fun ends right now. Suddenly, the cloaked man jumped and threw a lot of needles behind his back. But the needles didn't even touch his skin, and all of them had fallen on the ground. As the cloaked man tried to strike him using his sword, Klein managed to avoid it as he held his hands. The cloaked man chuckled and knew his plan had worked. A magic chain appeared from the ground, which surprised Klein. The magic chain quickly spread on his body, stopping him from moving while Ken left that place. At Lind Castle basement, he successfully escaped and walked closer to Aisha and called her name. He asked Aisha what he should do about it or if it could be over, and a magic spell had appeared. Ken decided to finish off right here, and a sharp object was floating above him. Aisha's capsule started to break. The glass had completely broken, and Ken opened his arm, saying he would make their dreams come true. The sharp object earlier had pierced his body while Ken hugged her. He screamed, and an immense power flowed on his body. Klein clenched his fist due to annoyance. He used his strength and broke the chains out of his body. He recalled the cloaked man earlier and started to wonder who he was. The ground started shaking, as he thought it was an earthquake. Not long after, the building was falling and all the people were running for their lives. From a corner, a girl could be seen crying and the wall was falling at her. Klein quickly dashed into the little girl as he managed to catch the falling building. He sighed in relief as he shifted his attention to the Lind Castle and knew that Ken was planning something again. Can's knight was in a hurry, as they knew they would receive a reward from Can. The one with blue hair asks what kind of reward they should get, and the green-haired assured him not to worry as they needed to go there quickly. As they reached the basement, the cloak man greeted them and stated that Ken was waiting for them. Can's knight asked why they had a reward even though they didn't kill Klein, and the other guy felt something weird about him. The cloak man explained that the judge cannot defeat Klein, and the preparations to leave Lind Castle are underway, so that Ken wanted to distribute his fortune to everyone. Kan's knights were glad as they cheered, and couldn't believe that Ken would do that to them. As they entered the room, they immediately apologized to Ken for keeping him waiting. Turns out it was a trap as sharp tentacles had pierced their chest, which made them surprised. Ken caught them off guard, while they kept calling his name. Ken turned into a gigantic monster with sharp tentacles on his back, as he growled at them. His tentacles started sucked all of their life, as their body structure looked like a corpse. After he sucked them all, he quickly threw them on a corner. He jumped upwards to the basement, creating a hole in the above and escaping like nothing happened. As he landed due to the strong impact, the ground had severe damage. He screamed loudly, expressing his anger towards Klein. The cloaked man was looking behind him and summoned his chain. Since it was his plan, he decided to fly above him and pulled out his chains. As he was on above, he asked if all the humans were foolish and pitiful creatures. Ken began to attack the people, while the people ran and tried to escape for their lives. Unfortunately, some of them had already pierced on his tentacles and sucked their blood. Klein finally arrived as he swung and cut one of his tentacles. Ken screamed as he knew that Klein was already in there. Klein was surprised and asked Mesias what kind of monster that was. She explained it was a magic warrior who absorbs power and compensates for the damaged parts of the magic devices, which Klein asked if it was Kan's pets. She disagreed and revealed that it was Kan, as he synchronized with the shard of the violet flame blade. He was surprised that it was Kan, and wondered why he had fallen that low for power. Kan started to walk, as he was looking for something, which Klein noticed. He prepared his sword and positioned himself for the incoming attack. But then, Kan changed his direction and passed Klein by, which made him confused. He asked Mesias what was happening, and she explained that he was looking for the flame of Wrath Lion Shard, and the violet blade had embedded itself in it. He reacted quickly and cast a flame on his sword, saying he wouldn't let that happen. He swung his blade and summoned his Demon King Slash. It directly hit Kan, and some of its tentacles had been sliced as well and fell on the ground. Klein took the opportunity as he jumped over him and swung his sword again, but Kan countered it and unleashed a powerful beam attack on him. And Klein was caught off guard and hit him, but Klein managed to block it using his arm. As he landed on the ground, Klein got annoyed as he observed that Kan's ability was not bad. Kan immediately ran towards Mirko's church while Klein stared at him. He started to chase him and expressed that he wouldn't give him the shard. At Mikro's church, inside was the flame lion, and Carol was happily dancing above its body. Carol noticed something was coming from a distance and shifted her attention to that. It was Kan's powerful beam as it hit her directly. Due to the strong impact, she was smashed into the wall. Kan walks closer to the flame lion, as a voice in his head needs 2 more shards and he will be freed. He quickly pierced his tentacles and pulled out its heart with the shards on it. His attention shifted, and he noticed something was not right. Kan touched his head and asked who he was while demanding to get out of his body. The voice called him a fool and stated that he was not going to get out of his body. Kan got mad and ordered him to get out, since it was his dream, while the voice demanded to give up his body as well. Meanwhile, Klein was rushing towards, and Kan quickly saw him. He managed to slash his hands easily. He wished that Kan were dead while catching some air. The voice inside his head said that Klein was indeed strong. He announced that the fun had already ended, and he started to squeeze the heart with the shard. An awakening explosion, and Kan started to scream as the transformation rage burst began. Klein's eyes widened as he was surprised and couldn't believe what he was seeing. A massive explosion had occurred on the place. As the smoke faded, a voice could be heard as he was laughing. Kan Monster had transformed into an awakened flame demon and said that he was excited to rule the world again. Klein smirked and knew that Bart was not Kan after all. He called Bart and confidently asked who he was. Bart stated that who he was doesn't matter to him and threatened that he would die right now. He sat down and put his hands on the ground as he summoned his magic technique skill. A line of light had suddenly emerged on the ground. A 9-headed evil dragon formation had appeared from below. One of the dragon's heads screams, indicating that an attack is coming. All the dragon heads rushed and struck where Klein was, but Klein managed to dodge it as he jumped and didn't expect that they were fast. The dragons started to attack him again as their mouth opened. So, he countered it using his Night Power Demon King Slash and struck it towards them, and it hit the dragons directly. A massive explosion had occurred where Klein and the dragon were. The 9-headed dragons had received massive damage and fell to the ground. As he landed, Bart took the opportunity and rushed towards him as he swung his fist. He managed to hit a powerful blow on Klein. So Klein had pushed away and landed on the ground while he tried to stand up. As he was about to stand up, Bart rushed him again, which surprised him. He summoned the knight's power, shell shield, to protect himself. Bart continuously smashed his shield and stated that Klein was too foolish. His shield didn't work at all and was completely destroyed, and Klein had tossed away. He got rolled over and over on the ground and hit the wall. Klein gritted his teeth as he didn't expect that his shield would fail, but Mesias had appeared beside him. She spoke up and said that the strongest Night King is in such a pitiful stage. He smirked as he wiped his sweats and stated that he didn't know but he was certainly strong. Bart asked if the woman beside him had come to be killed along with everyone. Mesias pointed her spear as the magic circle spell had appeared on her back, saying brute strength is not always justice. She advised that he must follow the thread of fate, and it's the shortcut to victory. Bart couldn't believe what he was seeing. In his eye's reflection, it was Mesias' magic spell that had hit him. Inside, Ken had been tied, and Aisha's voice spoke up, pondering if he would fall to a puppet and disappear from people's memories. He felt disappointed, and he couldn't accept what was happening to him right now. Aisha asked if he remembered his dream. He recalled when Aisha told her that he must become the strongest man in the world and marry her. The time when he protected her from people and promised that no one would touch a single finger of hers, and he will absolutely make a name for himself in the Empire. Ken couldn't believe that he forgot about those things and couldn't accept that he forgot them. Aisha tapped his arm and expressed that he had made a promise that he would stand at the top of the Empire. Ken decided to fight and couldn't let anyone get in his way. Bart realized something as he saw Ken standing. He asked Bart if that was all he could do, which surprised Bart. Bart was confused why Ken had awakened, but Ken didn't care and demanded to get out of his body. Klein was shocked by what he was seeing, while Mesias explained she just plucked the strings of fate a little. The flame got annoyed and decided to give Ken a little pain. Inside, Ken was screaming as the fire was burning him, but he insisted that he would not lose. Mesias informed him that she was at her limit and ordered Klein to finish it quickly, but he asked what he should do. She explained that once he synchronizes with the remaining shards of the violet flame, they will win. He assures her not to worry and promises that he will defeat Bart. But then, he noticed that her sword had fallen into his hands and wondered where it had gone. His violet flame blade had fallen on the ground. Meanwhile, the fire inside Ken had been more aggressive. He cursed Bart and found that his situation was kind of hard. Bart told him that the fun ends right now and told him to go with the real deal. A massive explosion had occurred. Klein used his arms to defend himself, while Bart kept attacking him. He was pressured about the violet flame blade while looking left and right and needed to find it quickly. Bart called him a human and asked if he understood. As he swung his fist again, aiming, saying sleeping in the dark for thousands of years. Before his punch would crush him, Klein able to use his shell shield from incoming attack, but it wasn't enough. Because the shell shield had been broken instantly, and he received damage. Due to the strong impact, he got thrown away. He landed on the ground, while Bart walked closer, saying a human can't defeat him. He stood up and informed that he was wrong and he was not human after all. Bart was surprised and asked what kind of human he was. He kneeled on the ground and called himself a wandering soul in this world, and a red flame-like energy engulfed part of his body. He cast his night power called Shadow Obtain, as he exudes overwhelming dark energy. Bart was surprised and couldn't believe that Klein could cast this kind of power. He dashed behind him and swung his fist with an aggressive, implying explosive destruction. Bart saw him and quickly shifted his attention and used his arms to defend himself. He managed to block Klein's attack while he wondered why he had so many different techniques. Bart pushed him away, which made him annoyed. Klein couldn't believe it and knew that a long battle was not good either. He ran as fast as he could and wondered where the violet flame blade was. As he was running, he saw something shimmering from a distance. Turns out it was the violet flame blade he'd been looking for. He was delighted and smiled, as he knew he had found it. Meanwhile, Bart was left wondering where Klein had gone as he was looking around. His attention quickly shifted, and he doubted if it was the violet flame blade he'd been looking at as well. He noticed that Klein was running towards where he was looking. His eyes got wide, and he knew it was the thing he'd been looking for and got more excited. He immediately ran where the blade was and couldn't let anyone take the last piece. As soon as Klein reached the blade and confidently knew that he would have it, Bart was already on his side as they both smiled, seeing the dagger. Klein couldn't believe and was surprised that he was already there. Bart pushed him away, stopping him from getting the blade. He was hit on the wall again. Klein received huge damage on it and cursed Bart. As he was looking at Bart, getting the blade shard, he informed Klein it was over the last blade shard was already on his hands. A massive explosion had occurred where Bart was, while Klein covered his face. He gritted his teeth and knew it was bad. Bart laughed and stated that after 3,000 years, he'd finally regained his true power. He quickly rushed to where Bart was and told him he wouldn't let that happen. At the Lind Castle basement, Mesias walked closer to Aisha's capsule, asking where it begins and where it ends. She cast her spell as a magic ring had appeared, stating that this world shines for those who are obsessed with it. Turns out, she helped Kin to encourage him to fulfill his dreams and promises. His flame turned violet, and Kin was raging, saying no one would get in the way of his dream. After he absorbed the shard, Bart's power had more intensified, claiming that he had won. He jumped upwards and asked if he would let him have it his way while he swung his fist. He quickly struck his hand where the shard was, while Bart assured him that everything comes to an end. He informed him that once the synchronization is complete, he would kill him first. Inside, Kin was yelling as he was raging, which made Bart stop talking. Kin managed to control its hands and started to punch itself. Bart was confused and asked if it was him. Kin controlled his hands once again and began choking him, saying that stealing his body is worth 1,000 deaths. Klein notices something odd happening to Bart. He smirked and knew it was his chance. A long time ago, Natsu called Klein, explaining that wearing the knight's armor would fight for the glory of the empire, its brilliance, and the peace of the people for the rest of her life. Natsu turned around and asked if he was ready. Klein joyfully accepted it, assuring that he would do anything to fulfill his ideals. He rushed towards Bart, and that's the reason why he couldn't break his vow. He caught him off guard and immediately punched Bart using his Emperor's Strike. He managed to hit him devastating impact, which Bart pushed away hardly. Bart couldn't believe what had just happened, as he was left standing. The blade shard had dropped on the ground, and Klein quickly picked it up. He called Bart as he showed him the shard and teased him about it. Bart saw it, saying he owns it, and he wouldn't let him take that. Kin controlled his arm again and punched himself, which made Bart annoyed. Kin insisted on getting out of his body, and he demanded that he shut up as he warned him that if he kept causing trouble, both of them would die. Klein suddenly coughed up blood. As he was looking at the shard, he couldn't believe why he was so desperate after being betrayed. He felt sad and knew it was not just Natsu that he loved. He clenched his fist and decided to fight no matter what and promised not to lose. He raised his hands as he requested the shard to give him the power to overturn destiny. Then a laser light had suddenly emerged where Klein was. He yelled as he bore the pain while receiving its power. Bart had widened his eyes and couldn't believe what he was seeing as well. As Klein was transforming, Bart stated that he defiles his treasure. Meanwhile, the cloak man was left speechless as he saw Klein manage to activate the shard. He was disappointed after he'd planned this for a long time, but it failed because a mysterious figure got in his way. Meanwhile, Mesias had seen it as well and knew that she was right to choose Klein. The shard's power was so intense, Klein could be seen floating while he demanded that the shard give him power. The laser light was slowly fading in the sky. Klein's armor had changed, as an immense aura had flowed on it. His appearance had completely transformed as his hair grew long, with a cape and new armor. His eyes were glowing, and he assured them that their fight was over. Kin is still using Bart's hands and continuing to punch its face while he was fighting the flame inside. Bart managed to suppress his hands while both of them were looking at each other. Kin was struggling and exposed that Bart's weak point was his heart. He told Klein that he was counting on him, and the fire swallowed him after. Klein understood as he pulled out his sword, saying he would meet his expectations. Bart stated that he was causing trouble, and he didn't like it at all. So he asked how he planned to win, since he had 6 shards, and he had only 1. Klein prepared his sword and confidently asked if he wanted to try. He was determined to fight with all his strength for his dream. He quickly rushed towards him as he swung his sword. He cast his knight power, Demon King Slash, and started to slash it in the air, aiming at Bart. He mocked Klein's ability and stated it was useless. He quickly blew it towards Klein's power, trying to counter it. As soon as their powers collide, a massive explosion occurs in the town. Klein jumped upwards and made another attack on him, and quickly swung his sword. He managed to hit a fatal blow on Bart's head. Bart chuckled, saying his attacks were weak, that a human like him would find it impossible to defeat him. Klein's arms started to flinch, and he stated that he wouldn't understand it either. He rushed again and swung his sword, explaining he had originally come from a lowly family. He recalled when he was young and weak in the past. So, he screamed and informed him that he was not the person who gave up easily. Due to determination, he cast his power as a dark energy bursting on his hands. Bart was surprised by the Klein's sudden increasing speed. He proudly shouted, saying he'd been carrying countless hopes and wouldn't let him die here. Klein successfully hit him with a powerful punch to the chest near his heart, and Bart pushed away. Bart was surprised as he couldn't believe what he had just done and asked what he had just said. He was thrown and received a lot of damage. Klein teased him, saying they must see each other again, and knew it was over. as he recalled the time that Natsum made him the knight of her country. The smoke fades away, the sky is clear, and his armory has gone as he was going back to normal form. The weather changed and began to rain so heavily. Due to the rain, the flame on Kan's body started to fade while he was lying on the ground. One of the flames had the shard on it, and it slowly appeared. Kan slowly opened his eyes. He spoke up and asked if it was raining, while the shard was on the side. Klein walks closer and kicks him a little, suggesting not pretend to be dead. Kan quickly noticed him and wondered what had happened. He stated that, for the sake of just one magic weapon, he would sacrifice his city for his good. The town had a devastated in chaos, with rain and smoke covering the place. He told Klein to shut his mouth, and he might not be able to defeat Bart. Klein explained that if he wasn't the one, maybe none of them had survived, and complained that he was exhausted about it. He sat down and explained he was tricked by Hell, that once he could collect all the magical weapons, he'd become the strongest and never mention the side effects. He was surprised that the name of the man who used chains was Hell. He felt worried that if he didn't die like that, he'd go berserk again to get revenge on him. Mesias suddenly arrives carrying Aisha, saying he must be worried since she bought the person he wanted. She suggested they must put aside what he'd done and thanked him for lending his power, which Kan was surprised that he knew about his last wish. She asked if his life began with Aisha and ordered that he must end with Aisha as well. He hugged as tears began streaming down his face and agreed they would stick together till the end. He called her name for the last time. Kan's eyes had already closed, accepting his fate, as both of them had rested peacefully. Klein spoke up and asked if Aisha had already died. She cast her magic spell, suggesting they send Aisha off, since she was also a victim of fate. He agreed about it as he picked up the remaining shards on the floor, stating that the shards' power also gave them greed. She collected all the shards and began the ritual, saying that one of the great magic weapons could change fate and defy the heavens. A sword appeared, named the Violet Flame Blade. In perfect condition. With one swing, it could easily destroy an entire town. He stated that he was lucky enough and didn't have to face it before the last one was gathered. But then he stopped and felt something was behind them. Turns out it was the Cloak Man as he teleported his chains and aimed at him. He immediately shifted his attention and managed to dodge it. The Cloak Man had appeared on the portal as well and was staring at them. Mesias noticed that his attention was drawn to the sword while she was reaching for it. As she was about to reach it, the Cloak Man pushed her away, stopping her from getting the sword. The Cloak Man managed to grab the sword, stating he owns it. Klein quickly rushed towards him, ordered him to give it back. He swung his sword and struck it directly at him, but the Cloak Man blocked it using his chains. He mocked Klein, saying he was strong, but he was already a flicker of a flame. He informed Klein that his show ends here, as he pushed him away using his chains. Klein got mad and warned not to screw with him, and the one ending will be him. He used his Night Power Demon King Slash, and he struck it towards the Cloak Man, as reached his chains and managed to cut all of them. The Cloak Man widened his eyes and couldn't believe what he saw. Due to the strong impact, he was pushed and cut his arms, revealing the chains on them. He chuckled and stated that he already knew he was exhausted and didn't have any power left. Klein was left speechless as he knew that he was right about his situation. The Cloak Man announced that he wanted to play a little longer, but time was not enough. As he summoned his portal, Mesias asked if this was where it began. He called the name of the Cloak Man Ravis. Ravis called her a fool, informing her that she'd regret betraying him one day. She assured him that he was the one who would lose, and to this man he looked down on. Ravis chuckled and dared them to do it, as he wondered what kind of Klein he was. He warned them that soon the gods would awaken and asked how they could stop them as he entered his portal. Klein was disappointed and couldn't do anything to stop Ravis from escaping. Mesias walked closer to him, and Klein asked if she knew about Ravis. She explained it was her old acquaintance. Klein couldn't believe it and started to get mad about it. He stood up and grabbed her dress, stating she should have told him first, and could have prepared in advance and avoided having the magic artifact stolen. She told him not to blame her, as he was already a wreck just from facing a single magic warrior. Carol finally found them, as she running towards and calling his name, which he noticed. He let go of Mesias and requested her to give all the information beforehand, as he couldn't let it happen again. As Carol reached him, she was glad that he was there. She complained that the lion had hit her as she demanded to be comforted. They hug each other, and Klein compliments her bravery and promises he won't let anyone hurt her. He turned around and ordered Mesias to tell him everything she knew, which she agreed. Carol pushed him and requested that he stay with her, which he assured her about since he needed rest as well. She touched his chest and demanded that he heal up properly before they would play, which he agreed to. At a distance, in the broken buildings, a rock suddenly moved and fell on the ground. Turns out it was the little girl that he saved as she rose from the scattered debris. She notices Klein from a distance and announces that they were saved by him again. The people nearby shifted their attention and started to praise Klein for what he did. They walked closer to him, calling his name and thanking him. He was delighted about it and knew he had become the center of attention again. As he recalled the time when people threw a rock at him, saying he was a traitor and glad it wasn't the same as his past. At Lind Castle, Count Eisen's estate, he entered the basement and announced that they'd arrived. She revealed that this place can synchronized with the fragment of the magic artifact. She informed that it was all guided by fate. Neither he nor could escape the curse of destiny. Klein got annoyed and reminded her that he came to hear all the information. She summoned a magical spell and requested him to put his hand so his questions would have answers. But he was hesitant and asked what she was planning about. She told her not to worry as they were allies, but he explained that he realized she was hiding some things from him. He didn't have a choice since she saved her once and decided to trust her again as he reached out to her hand. As soon as their hands had held, she promised that everything she knew, she would tell it. Not long after, he opened his eyes in surprise. He was above the forest. He immediately asked, "Where are they?" She stated that 5,000 years in the past, civilization hadn't developed yet, and the gods ruled over humans. Below them, a group of indigenous tribe people could be seen running and asking for help. As they were running for their lives, behind them was a gigantic shadow chasing them. A gigantic hand had crushed all the people who had been trying to escape. A handful of blood from the people earlier, as it was trying to grab them. It was two gigantic creatures, while Shanios asked if he was good at it, and Katran complained that he got bored. So, Katran decided to crush them even more and was delighted about it. Mesius explained that this was the old era before the overwhelming power of the gods. Humanity was no more than livestock. Klein immediately asked how humans of this era defeated those giant beings. She explained humans couldn't defeat gods, and only gods could defeat gods. That humanity is too weak. It was impossible to defeat the gods, since they had to exploit the contradictions within the gods themselves. A man could be seen rushing towards something while he was gasping for air. He managed to reach the giant location, and it appeared that Shanios was peacefully sleeping. She elaborated that gods make each other kill and reap the benefits, and there was only one human who could do that. She revealed it was Ravis who could do that thing while Ravis yelled, saying he brought the information as instructed. Klein asked what Ravis meant by information, which she explained it was God's strategies to deceive each other. Ravis informed that he sent someone to gather information on Yahello Island. He revealed that all about it was true. Katran was researching sealing techniques. Shanios slammed the ground where Ravis was, creating massive damage on the ground. He shouted and asked who he was by planning to research and seal that. He immediately explained that the sealing technique is complete and suggested striking first. He stood up and summoned his sword, assuring that Katran would pay for this with his life. He started to fly as he was going to Katran's place. But a man came in, calling Ravis, and he ordered them to announce that Shanios has gone to kill Katran. The man agreed and quickly left to tell their companion about the news. Ravis promised himself that he would end this once. Klein asked if that was Ravis, and she agreed as he was a hero who slew dragons. Currently situation where Katran and Shanios were starting to fight. Katran was confused and asked what he was doing, and he explained that he was planning to seal. As he swung his fist, Katran explained he was the one who planned to seal it and nothing could stop him. He charged at him, stating that he was going to die. Katran yelled Ravis' name, instructing him to come. From a distance, Ravis showed up and raised his sword, summoning the Yahello sealing technique. A large bright magic spell had appeared, which Shanios notices. He turned around as he saw Ravis and called him a traitor. Katran grabbed a chance as he stabbed him in his chest using his hands. He smirked and called his name for the last time, informing him that it's time to pay. A chain suddenly appeared and quickly clung to his body, preventing him from moving. Katran confidently announced that he had fallen into the trap and assured that he could not escape. Shanios couldn't do anything, as he cursed him for what he did while the chain had dragged him down. As a smoke cloud covered the center, and Katran knew it was a success. Shanios turned into the violet flame blade, while the chain was still on it. He stood up and quickly grabbed the blade, mocking Shanios that he was a fool. Ravis spoke up and asked what he would do if other gods held him for that sin. He swung the sword and struck it through the water, asking what he meant for other gods. At just one strike, the nearby mountain had been sliced. Ravis was surprised upon seeing the ability and the power of that blade. He explained that it was impossible, since he already possessed the sealing technique and the power left by Shanios. He performed a hand gesture, stating he was currently the strongest in the world. Katran laughed wickedly, confidently announcing that there was no one left who dared to fight him. Klein clarified that it is how it all began, which she agreed was the very start Katran set a trap, so that when Shanios stepped into and activated it. She stated that Katras felt quite pleased obtaining the violet flame blade, gaining a part of Shanios' power as well. Because of Katras's actions, the gods doubted one another, controlled each other, and fought each other to gain an even greater advantage. They began to use human power, where a group of men could be seen and a god as well. Katras stated he would give him a part of his power, and instructed to create a wave and stop Hingelas. He managed to defeat all the monsters, and since more gods were hunted, humanity's power grew day by day. The humans gained the strength to kill gods, and that was what Ravis did as he stabbed him in his neck. He caught him off guard, and Katras couldn't believe what he just did. He chucked and informed that he had waited for this day. Ravis's historic victory brought humanity a future without gods. After defeating the old gods, he sought to become the god of the new world. He raised his sword and announced to everyone that he was their god while the people cheered for him. Klein noticed something as the hologram started to glitch. They both came back to reality, and he asked why they were thrown out. She explained it must be Ravis, as he had done something with the Wheel of Fate to prevent them from seeing their history. She shifted the topic and asked if he understood what kind of enemy he was facing. Ravis had arrived at a castle while walking closer to the queen. He kneeled and stated that he'd investigated the man she was interested in. He described to her that Klein was an intriguing man and had set his sights on them as well. Natsum summoned a magical dagger and pointed it at him. She signals at the daggers to strike him. As the dagger passes through, he maintains a calm posture. Ravis smiled and waited for the response of Natsum. She reminded him that they had made a promise, and he must keep his promise too. She was disappointed, stating she couldn't stop the anger of the Barbaros family, and she would send Ravis to hell. He spoke up and suggested she calm down, and explained it was a little joke. She calmed down and hoped that one day she would kill him, and Ravis proposed the possibility future together. He promised her that they could build a wonderful partnership. Back at Klein, he demanded more information, as he must investigate Ravis's past as well. She was left speechless and couldn't do anything about it. He got mad, saying he kept his promise to gather the magic items, and asking how he was going to fight without knowing the identity of the enemy. She immediately explained that the Wheel of Fate says it was not the right time to tell him. He was dismayed upon hearing it, and she explained she was a lonely soul not worthy to pursue him. He was surprised and confused about what she had just said. He turned around, as he knew he was the same kind of existence as well. The sun rises at the Lind Castle. Klein's belongings were scattered on the floor except for the sword. He was peacefully sleeping with his mouth open and drooling. Carol quickly kicked the door as she was calling his name, informing him there was big news. He was surprised by the noise and got infuriated, asking if she couldn't see him sleeping. She joyfully shared that Klein had become the lord of the castle. Klein was confused after hearing it and froze for a second. The people of the Lind Castle started to kneel and bow, showing respect for him. The man explained they had made their decision and they would follow any of his orders. He immediately grabbed his mask from the side. As he put it on, he rejected and said that he couldn't do anything about that. The people felt sad and asked why he couldn't do it. He explained that he didn't want to save them, and he only did it for himself. He started acting crazy as he kicked the table and told the people to go to their homes. The man couldn't believe it and called out his name. He went closer to him, insisting that he wasn't a savior, and suggested he find some other hero. The people turned around as they were in disbelief at his behavior. Turns out, he suppressed himself not to get carried away by them while he recalled the incident from his past. He walked out of the room and never looked back at them. Outside of the Lind Castle, the rain was pouring. He turned around and looked again for the last time. Mesias arrived and asked if he was ready to leave, and he agreed since knowing they were looking for a strong person to protect them. She doubted his answer, asking if he had any attachment to them, which he denied. But then the little girl called his name, asking him to spare some time for her. He immediately noticed it and shifted his attention to her. The little girl expresses her gratitude as she holds a basket of bread and insists on accepting it. The basket was full of freshly baked bread. He knew that he couldn't decline it. He joyfully accepted, as he thanked the little girl for his food. The little girl thanked him for all he did and wished him and prayed for his safety on his journey. He chuckled upon hearing the gods talk about it. He tapped her head, expressing that he would pray for her luck as well. As he walked away, the little girl bid her farewell, as she would never forget his kindness, and he thanked her again. Klein grabbed a piece of bread and observed that they must have a good harvest. He arrived at the Lavi Castle, hiding and observing from the top of the tree. As long as he was outside, it felt colder due to the weather at the place. Carol complained that it was cold. Even starting a fire was such a hassle. Klein immediately jumped down, as he couldn't bear Carol's needs. He walked closer to her and cast the knight's power flame of wraith on the woods. She was amused as she clapped her hands and didn't expect that he could set fire instantly. He spoke up and reminded her of the reason why she'd been following him all the time. She confidently explained that she wanted to have fun with him and idolize him as well. He doubted it and demanded the real reason behind it, to which she expressed that she would tell him everything. He ordered her to hand over the incense, which she immediately gave. So he decided to trust he and demanded her to tell him about everything. She confessed that he was the best she had ever had, which made him cool and kind. His attention shifted to Mesias and wondered what she was looking at. Mesias had a magical spell behind her as she was praying. She summoned the fate and requested to show her the path of the future, so they could escape the disaster. As she opened her eyes, she was in an empty world with a full stars on it. Suddenly someone was asking for help as it was cold, and Mesias wondered who was calling out. She quickly turned around as she noticed something. A gigantic divine arbiter was trying to grab her, stating he couldn't let humans seize control of fate. As soon as the hands were close to her, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. She immediately disconnected from that world and started to fall from the tree. Klein noticed her and quickly rushed, trying to catch her. Carol was surprised and confused about what was going on. He managed to catch her and save her. As they landed, he asked what was wrong. She explained that she used the Ring of Fate too much, and she awakened the sleeping god of fate and got swallowed up. He told her they didn't need anyone to read their fate, and no matter what future awaits, he will smash it all with his hands. He advised that she must always act tough, no matter the situation. The next morning at the Lavi Castle, Carol woke up and stretched her body, saying that she had slept well. Klein walked closer as he greeted her with good morning and handed her breakfast. She quickly grabbed it and thanked him for it. So, he announced that today they were entering Lavi Castle and asked if she wanted to try something interesting. Carol was delighted about it and expressed her excitement about it. He assured her and told her that he was going to turn the Lavi Castle upside down. At Lavi Castle, someone had sent apologies to the man named Brighton, as they searched every suspicious place, but they failed to trace of Nickel. Brighton insisted on finding Nickel since the Lavi Castle was small, but the woman declined and explained that all the soldiers fear Nickel. He wouldn't accept her excuses and ordered those who didn't follow orders to kill them. A loud noise had suddenly sounded on the busy street, which turned out to be an explosion. Brighton and the woman's attention quickly shifted to that particular area. Turns out it was Klein and Carol, calling the attention of the people saying their king had arrived. He quickly threw a toxic potion, saying it was a blessing, and it landed on the ground, and the smell quickly started to spread all over the place. He immediately summoned his Wind of Wrath, explaining the toxic potion had a stinky smell and was made with all heart. The people nearby started to vomit uncontrollably as they complained about the smell. Brighton observes that the people are acting weird, and she suggests that she will check it out. Brighton expressed his gratitude, as he assured her that give her blunder back and ordered her to kill them, which she quickly obeyed. Klein immediately notices that something is coming. The woman was rushing towards him, and Klein didn't expect that they would catch the first prey. She pointed her sword and said she didn't want to do anything as he pleased in this place. So, he accepted her duel and observed what her capabilities were. He easily dodged her attack, and she was surprised that he was as fast. While running away, the woman called him. She noticed that something was missing from her belongings. As she checked her bag, with money had already gone. Klein was already tossing the coin and teased that she had a single silver coin. She awkwardly explained it was her monthly salary for this month, and demanded to be given it back. He mocked her money, informing her that he would return it, and not even worth stealing. He quickly tossed the coin back, and the girl was left speechless. So, he shifted his attention to Brighton and suspected that he was carrying a lot of money. On the other side, Brighton saw him staring at him. Klein quickly rushed towards him and said he would borrow some money from him. Brighton prepared himself as he formed a hand gesture, saying he wouldn't let him. He quickly summoned his knight power. The iron floating pagoda, a gigantic knight figure appeared. As he looked at it, he was kind of surprised and not amused. The gigantic knight figure attacks Klein using his sword. It was struck directly on the ground, as Klein easily avoided it and said it was too slow. Brighton was surprised and didn't expect that he could react it quickly. So Klein punched him with a high-speed impact, causing an explosion. He was slammed into a building, with debris and dust flying off, and knew he wasn't an ordinary man. Brighton stood up while Klein walked closer to him, asking if he was in the mood to lend out. But then a rope suddenly flew towards him. It quickly clings to his feet. Turns out it was her, as she pulled it with all her strength and suppressed him from moving. She informed Klein she didn't know about him, but she wouldn't let him do as he wanted. She explained that she knew his name and what he did at the Lind Castle, and wouldn't. So he smiles and tells her to calm down, since the fun has just started. While Klein was busy chit-chatting, Brighton grabbed the opportunity to start his plan. He pulled out his emergency gun and shot it into the sky, and a flare appeared. He saw it and asked why they called for help. On the other side, Carol was running while knights were chasing her, and she was giving them fake information on where Klein was. The knights fell into her trap as she pulled out her toxic potion and threw it quickly. As soon as the toxic potion had broken, it quickly released toxic gases, which the knights complained about the smell. She cheerfully bids farewell to them, as she guarantees them it was harmless. Inside the castle, the knights were surprised that Brighton had popped the signal flare and ordered everyone to hurry. They started to scurry, going to the signal flare location and screaming Brighton's name. Klein immediately cut the rope using his hands and jumped onto the roof while he bid farewell to them. The woman was infuriated as she couldn't believe that he ran away like nothing had happened. He teased her as he described the place as an amusement park for him and laughed about it. She grabbed something behind her hips. Due to frustration, she threw a dagger towards him. But Klein easily dodged it and laughed about it while he left the place. He quickly jumped out of Carol, as she called the woman ugly and thought he would give her a lesson. The woman got mad and asked who she was calling ugly, as she had tons of fans. Klein explained that today was just a greeting, and he would be around for a while and meet again. As she heard it, Carol got even more excited that they were going to play with them again. They immediately dashed out of Levi's town. The woman couldn't do anything as she tried to stop them, ending up looking at them leaving. But then she notices that the toxic potion has fallen in front of her. She knew that she was indeed in trouble. The toxic potion had broken and spread again, while the woman was screaming that she would catch them.